Machiavelli once said, "Desire is not born from love, it's born from distance." He looks into the dark with a faint smile. The more they cannot read you, the more they crave to understand you. He leans closer. Never chase, just disappear correctly.
He walks past a mirror without looking at it. The one who seeks validation loses power. He says softly, "Stop trying to be chosen. Become unforgettable instead." His voice turns cold. They forget kindness, but they never forget confusion.
He writes in his notebook, "Never give full attention, only glimpses." He explains, "The human mind obsesses over what it cannot possess." He looks up from his writing. Every mystery creates addiction.
He stands near a window, watching the rain. When you step back, they step forward. He turns slowly. Absence is not weakness, it's the invisible leash. He smiles faintly. Let them chase your silence.
He speaks to the camera directly now. Most people beg for love and drown in it. He leans forward, eyes sharp. But the rare ones make love beg for them. His tone drops lower. That's not arrogance. That's design.
He walks through a corridor lined with paintings of couples. He stops at one, studies it. Attachment, he says, is predictable. Desire is not. He traces the painting's frame. Predictability kills obsession. Mystery keeps it alive. He closes a heavy book, dust rising. They will always chase what gives them uncertainty. He looks toward the dark. Your distance is their hunger, your silence their music. He smirks, and that's how you own the game.
He walks away, his silhouette fading. The forbidden method, he whispers, is not manipulation, it's mastery of energy. He stops at the door, looks back. Never give them what they want. Give them what they can't forget.
Machiavelli stands in a candlelit room, his face calm. He says, "The first mistake people make is believing that closeness creates desire. It doesn't. It kills it." He turns away from the flame. The heart wants to chase, not rest. He steps into the corridor, voice echoing. When you are too available, you become invisible. He stops and looks directly at the viewer. Distance creates imagination, and imagination creates obsession. He writes in his notebook again, "Emotional distance is not coldness, it's emotional discipline." He dips his quill slowly in ink. Let them feel your absence until their thoughts become your shadow. He leans against a marble pillar. "Never explain your silence," he says. "The moment they ask why, they're already inside your web." He smirks slightly. "You've shifted control without saying a word." He walks into a garden at dusk. "The secret is balance," he says. "Too much distance and they forget. Too little and they suffocate." He touches a single rose. Keep them near the edge. Never safe, never gone.
He looks up at the night sky. Emotional distance is power disguised as peace. He whispers, when you stop needing their response, they start needing your silence.
He walks by a mirror this time and pauses. He touches the glass. He ponders the words as he says them.
The reflection you give them, he says, should always be slightly out of reach. He touches the glass. Never let them see the full you, just enough to dream about the rest.
He turns back toward the shadows. Emotional distance, he says, is not escape, it's architecture. He walks into the dark hall, voice fading. Build it carefully, and they'll never stop trying to enter.
Machiavelli stands in a dim study filled with flickering candles. He says softly, "Attention is the new throne. Everyone fights to sit on it." He turns one candle upside down, extinguishing it. Control attention, and you control the pulse of desire.
He walks between two mirrors facing each other, infinite reflections behind him. Most people beg for attention, he says, but the powerful redirect it. He pauses. The trick is to vanish, just long enough to make them look harder.
He sits at a desk, a single spotlight of sunlight on him. He whispers, "When you appear too often, they stop seeing you. When you disappear strategically, they never stop searching." He closes his eyes and smiles. Scarcity feeds obsession.
He picks up a feather and lets it fall slowly. Attention is gravity, he says. Everything that rises must orbit it. He looks to the camera. Learn to become the center of their focus, not by force, but by rhythm.
He moves closer, whispering, "Sometimes the loudest presence is silence." He raises a finger to his lips. When you stop trying to be seen, their mind begins to see you everywhere. He stands before a painting of a king surrounded by courtiers. "Attention is a current," he says. "The fool swims in it, the wise redirects it." He turns slightly toward the viewer. "Never compete for the spotlight. Make it move toward you."
He walks through a silent courtyard, only torches lighting the path. He says, "Your attention is your currency. Spend it with intention. Invest it where mystery grows, not where noise screams." He stops, facing the camera one last time. "They will follow the light," he says, "but they'll remember the one who controlled it." He blows out the last candle. Darkness fills the room. Disappear and let their minds do the chasing. Machiavelli stands before a mirror, his voice calm. Seduction is not about beauty, it's about contrast. He tilts his head slightly. Calm in a loud world. Stillness among chaos. That is what draws the eyes. He walks slowly through a crowded hall. No words, no gestures, yet all heads turn toward him. He whispers, "The truly seductive never compete for attention. They make attention come to them."
He leans close to the camera. Control begins where prediction ends. He smiles faintly. When they can't guess your next move, their mind starts to orbit yours.
He stands beside a rose in a vase. He touches a petal, then lets it fall. "Never show full affection," he says. "Half warmth keeps them burning longer." He looks up. Seduction lives in tension, not in comfort. He walks into a dark corridor, whispering, "Speak less, watch more." People reveal their weaknesses when silence enters the room. He pauses at the door. The eyes are the most dangerous weapon because they never lie.
He sits beside a candle and turns it slowly between his fingers. Control the rhythm, he says. Speak, disappear, return, like a tide. He looks up. Predictability kills attraction. Uncertainty feeds it. He glances sideways and whispers, "The less they know about you, the more their mind tries to complete the puzzle." He turns his gaze away. Never reveal. Let curiosity do the seduction for you. He walks into the shadows, voice softer now. True seduction is not pursuit, it's gravity. He stops and looks back one last time. The secret is simple. Never pull them closer. Make them come willingly into your silence. Machiavelli stands in a grand hall filled with arguing voices. He says nothing, yet slowly they all fall silent. He turns to the viewer. The loudest man in the room is usually the weakest. He walks through the courtyard at dusk. Silence, he says, is not emptiness. It's observation. He stops beside a fountain, watching the ripples fade. In silence, you hear what others try to hide.
He sits before a messenger delivering urgent news. He listens, expression unreadable. The man stumbles under the weight of that quiet. Machiavelli finally says, "Silence creates pressure. Pressure reveals truth." He sits before a messenger delivering urgent news. He listens, expression unreadable. The man stumbles under the weight of that quiet. Machiavelli finally says, "Silence creates pressure. Pressure reveals truth."
He walks beside a woman in the corridor. She speaks nervously. He smiles but says nothing. Her words grow softer. He whispers at last, "The mind fills silence with imagination, and imagination is your servant." He stands at the window overlooking the city. The fool reacts. The wise one waits. He folds his hands behind his back. In silence, time bends in your favor. He closes a heavy door behind him. Your silence, he says, should never be defensive. It should be deliberate. He glances at the camera. Let them wonder what you're thinking. They'll reveal themselves trying to find out. He returns to the dark hole, now empty. He whispers, "Silence is the sound of power." He blows out the candle, darkness swallowing the room. When they can no longer predict you, they can no longer control you. Machiavelli enters a silent hall. He doesn't speak, yet everyone looks up. He says softly, "Words are weak currency. Presence is gold." He walks slowly. Make them feel you before they hear you. He stops before a table of scholars. He listens, not to learn, but to dominate through stillness. The mind, he says, follows what it cannot read. He glances across the room. Be unpredictable, and their thoughts will orbit you. He looks into the mirror. The secret, he whispers, is not in words, but in timing. He smiles faintly. Every pause is an invitation. Every silence, a seed of curiosity. He sits across from a woman. She speaks nervously. He nods slightly, eyes steady. The one who controls rhythm, he says, controls emotion. He leans back. Let them drown in the silence you design.
He walks through a garden at night, torches lighting his path. Your energy must whisper, not shout, he says. Confidence speaks without needing to prove. He looks up at the moon. The quieter your aura, the louder your effect.
He pauses near a fountain, running his hand through the water. Stillness, he says, is not emptiness, it's control. He looks at the ripples fade. When they feel calm around you, they are already under your spell.
He turns his back to the camera. Obsession is not born from noise, he says, but from absence. He glances over his shoulder. Leave behind silence so heavy it becomes their echo. He steps into the dark corridor, voice fading. Say less, feel more, disappear when they expect you most. He stops at the end of the hall. And when you return, you'll no longer need words. Machiavelli stands before a fading candle. He says softly, when you are always present, they stop seeing you. When you vanish, they start to feel you. He blows gently on the flame. It flickers, then steadies. Absence sharpens attention like hunger sharpens appetite. He walks down a long, empty corridor. Disappearance, he says, is not retreat, it's strategy. He stops halfway and turns slightly. Every step back is a way to pull them forward.
He sits beside an open window, watching rain fall. Your absence should never feel accidental, he says. It must taste like purpose. He closes the window slowly. Let them believe they lost something priceless. He stands at the center of a deserted ballroom. The wise, he says, know when to leave the room. He looks around the empty space. Absence magnifies memory. It makes your echo louder than your voice. He walks near a fountain at midnight. Disappear right after your peak moment, he says. Leave before they can define you. He smirks slightly. Mystery dies in predictability. He picks up a letter, reads it once, and burns it. He whispers, "The moment they think they understand you, vanish." The flame rises, reflected in his eyes. Let curiosity be your presence. He stands at a cliff's edge, overlooking the sea. The ocean teaches the art of absence, he says. It retreats only to return stronger. He raises his hand toward the horizon. Your absence should always promise a return. He walks away, voice fading into the dark. The fool fears being forgotten. The wise chooses when to disappear. He stops, turns slightly, and whispers, "Presence controls moments. Absence controls minds." Machiavelli stands in front of a burning candle. The secret of desire, he says, is distance. He waves his hand near the flame, not touching, but close enough to feel the heat. Too far, and it dies. Too close, and it burns. He smiles faintly. Control begins in balance. He turns toward a mirror. People crave what reflects their hunger, he says. He wipes the dust off the glass slowly. The wise never mirror desire. They project calm, because calm creates mystery.
He stands in a crowded ballroom, surrounded by glances and whispers. He doesn't move, yet all eyes find him. Desire, he says softly, is not about being wanted. It's about being felt. He pauses. Make your presence a question, not an answer.
He walks by a table with a rose placed in a glass of water. He touches the stem lightly. Never give too much, he says. Desire lives in what's withheld. He lets the rose fall. Control is not in what you give, but in what you don't.
He leans closer to the camera. Desire without control becomes chaos. He pauses. Control without desire becomes emptiness. He smiles faintly. True mastery is dancing between both, never owned by either.
He sits by a woman painting a portrait. She glances at him often. He doesn't return the gaze. He says, when they feel your absence, even while you're near, you've already won.
He stands near an open window, night air flowing in. The mind wants what it can't predict, he says. Desire is fed by uncertainty. Reveal less, and you will be remembered more. He walks into darkness, voice steady and calm. The greatest seducer is not the one who speaks, but the one who makes others speak first. He stops, turns slightly, and whispers, "To control desire, learn how to disappear from it."
Machiavelli stands at the edge of a grand staircase. He says, "The secret is not in being wanted, but in being unreachable." He descends one step, then stops. They must always feel you're one moment away, yet never close enough.
He walks through a crowded hall. They chase not because they want you, he says, but because they want the feeling they had around you. He glances sideways. Give them moments, not access.
He sits at a chess table, one move from victory. Never close the game, he says. End it halfway and walk away. He smiles faintly. They'll spend forever finishing what you left undone.
He leans against a pillar, watching two lovers argue. He says quietly, "Emotions fade with closure. Obsession grows in uncertainty." He turns slightly to the viewer. Never explain yourself. Let silence haunt them. He stands beside a fountain at night. The art, he says, is to give just enough warmth to keep hope alive. He dips his hand into the water. Coldness pushes them away. Warmth enslaves them. He stops in front of a painting of a woman staring outward. He says softly, "They'll chase what reminds them of themselves." He looks at the viewer. Be the mirror that never reflects fully, and they'll never stop looking. He sits alone in a candlelit room. The more they chase, he says, the less they realize you're leading them. He smirks. Control is not running, it's knowing where they'll go next. He walks away into darkness. "Never let the chase end," he whispers. "Every return should feel like a new mystery." He turns his head slightly, voice fading. "Keep the distance alive, and they'll chase shadows that look like you."
Machiavelli stands in a quiet chamber facing the woman. He says softly, "The final rule of power is detachment." She looks at him with conflicted eyes, part longing, part fear. he takes a single step closer. When you no longer need what you control, you own it completely.
He walks around her slowly, his voice calm. She thought she was chasing him, but all along, he was teaching her how to chase. He stops behind her, whispering. The moment she realized it, it was already too late. She turns slightly, her breath shaking, while he stays motionless.
He steps back toward the light. The game was never about possession, he says. It was about reflection. He looks at her one last time, her eyes now calm, empty, awakened. He whispers, "When they finally understand you, you disappear." He turns, walking into the dawn.